Hello guys, welcome to yet another video of the Critical Gamer channel. Today I'll be taking you through how to land a plane. Now, even though you might have nothing to do with landing a plane, there's nothing wrong in getting some general knowledge. So let's get started today. For today we'll be taking the flight from Adelaide to Melbourne. So we'll go ahead, we've chosen the airport, we'll go down and get a parking gate selected here. So as you can see, there are different varieties. You can have a small gate with ramps. So we'll go ahead, we'll go up and we'll select ourselves a small gate. So gates where a plane is usually standing when it's time for boarding. So with different varieties of gates here, we'll go and select gate 15, and we can also now we can actually start flying. We're just flying in the live conditions of weather in Adelaide. We'll also right now we can just here we can change the time around. So we'll change that around to around 3:30 p.m. and we're ready to fly with that. So when we actually flying, there are actually different aspects to it. Now today I'll just take you through a basic takeoff tutorial. In that, takeoff tutorials, they can be a basic and they can be an advanced one as well. For today I'll take you through the basic takeoff tutorial. I'll let you know some of the components in the aircraft that are required when you're taking off. Now again, this is a simulator. Obviously it is going to be different as to compared when you're flying an actual plane, but it still gives you an overall idea of how it would be to fly a real plane. Now here we have our aircraft. It's a A320neo. So first of all, let's get familiar with some of the parking components. So this is the parking brake. It was set to on. We have turned it off, so we've released the parking brake. Now what we have to do is we're starting the engines. So here you can see engine 1, engine 2. So we've just flicked them on. Engines have started. Now here, as you'll be able to see the different components of the aircraft, but we'll just try to learn the basic ones, the ones that are required today for us in order to be taking off. We'll get rid of all this here. And so the first component that we need to know is a screen that is right in front of you when you're sitting at the pilot's seat. So here, I will show you in 1 second here. Now, as you can see, I'm pointing at this screen now. So this screen, basically, now you can see a circle there, and now it's divided into two, a blue and a brown area. Now the blue part is actually, this part's used to control the pitch of the plane. Now you might not be able to see right now, but later in the flight you'll be able to see there are two black lines that tell the position of the plane. Now if the black lines are in the blue area, that means the nose of the plane is pitched up, so the plane's ascending. If they're in the brown area, then the plane is descending. Now on the left and right of this screen are just two indicators that tell us the airspeed of the plane and also the altitude of the plane. So I hope you can see that. And now just right of this screen we have another screen that tells us the flight path when we are taking off. So what we will do now, I think, is we can actually request ATC, the air traffic control, for a pushback, taxi clearance pushback. Now when taking off a plane, it's actually really important to be so it's really important to get the takeoff and taxi clearances from the air traffic control because they actually allow us to just progress our way through the airport. Also now, the visibility is actually really good in the day, so the basic takeoff we're doing it on the day, so at daytime we'll be better able to see things around us. So we'll tune on a ATC here. Now, okay, we've ask for taxi clearance. We've got taxi clearance. Now we can actually request pushback. Now the pushback, what happens when you request pushback? When you actually request pushback, there's a pushback tractor that actually gets the plane from the parking gate actually to it just pushes the plane back from the parking gate, which makes it easy for the plane to taxi. Okay, we've requested pushback, and you can see here we've got Adelaide Airport just saying that pushback request accepted. Now very soon we'll have the ATC just actually tell the controller, the person in the truck, to actually just push the aircraft back. Now here at the bottom here you can see I just pointed out the two rudder pedals. Now they're on both seats for the pilots. Now the rudder pedals are used to control the aircraft on the ground. So just taxiing, when you're taxiing left and right. So we'll display a direction to Melbourne. It will help us navigate ourselves to Melbourne better. And now, as you can see, the aircraft being pushed back. You'll be able to see here, just slowly, the pushback tractor is pushing it back. Now, when you're flying a real plane, you don't actually have much of the view of the entire aircraft, but you can just see what's in the cockpit, some things in the left and right. So for this takeoff tutorial today, we'll try to stick as much as possible onto the cockpit. Now, so as you can see here, we're just being pushed back by the pushback tractor. We'll actually navigate ourselves and request the pushback tractor to steer us to the right. This will make just taxiing even more easy for us, because then we're just going to push the throttle up and just get ourselves going on the taxiway. So we're just currently being pushed back. Now you'll be able to see the taxiway lines. They give you the direction in which you have to go to get the aircraft to the runway. Okay, now we just requested the taxi truck to push us straight instead of turning right. Just being pushed back, and in a little while now we can request the end of pushback, so we'll do that now. And now you can see that the pushback tractor is just going to leave us, and we'll be able to continue taxi to the runway. The pushback tractor is left. We'll just tune onto the 120.500. That's the radio frequency for air traffic control at Adelaide Airport. In our previous commands, that's what we were told, to tune on to 120.5, so we'll do that. Now we can begin taxiing to the runway. So luckily the runway is not very far from us, because Adelaide Airport's not a very big international airport, and the length, the distance from the gate to the runway also varies from gate to gate. Now if you're at gate 1 runway, the runway would be further away from you than at gate 15. So because we were at gate 15, the runway is actually not very far away from us. So we'll start way to the runway. Now here, as you can see, that's the side stick used to control the plane's pitch, and this is a pitch trim I showed you earlier. Well, if you want explained, pitch trim is actually just an advanced control of controlling the airplane's pitch, which is the up or down movement of the nose. Now this is the throttle. So the throttle is actually, that's what gives the airplane speed, the engine. So we'll just put a little bit of throttle up right now, have the engine thrust to about 40%. With that, we can actually begin our taxi onto the runway. So we'll just try our best while in the cockpit view to actually follow these lines and get ourselves to the runway. Now the air traffic control ordered us to hold short of the runway. Now holding short of the runway is just stopping on the side of the runway and actually requesting takeoff clearance before you actually enter the airstrip. That is purely because when you enter the airstrip, you just want to confirm that there's no plane coming into land, there's no plane taking off from the other end or whatever it may be. So that's why we just hold short of the runway, get takeoff clearance from the air traffic control, and then we can proceed our takeoff. Now we'll just hold short of the runway here. We've applied the parking brakes, if you can see down here. I'll show you. So that's the parking brake is on, we just applied it. Now we'll go ahead and we'll actually ask the ATC for takeoff clearance. Takeoff clearance you can also ask from using the indicators here, so they actually help you tune the frequency to the Adelaide Tower, but we will just use these ones here to make our life easy for now. So we'll quickly go and tune on 120.5 and we'll request takeoff clearance. Okay, here we go, we can click that.
Adelaide Tower Airbus Alpha Sierra
and we
X-ray
just requested it.
At runway 23 ready for departure, touch and go.
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320.
And as you can see here, we've got they've said that cleared for takeoff runway 23. Now we cleared for takeoff, we can make our way to the runway and take off from there, so we will do that now. Okay, now we have aligned the aircraft at the center of the runway, but before we apply the throttle to the maximum and take off, usually you have to just do a quick check that all the instruments are showing the correct details and all that. Now here we can see the engine thrust and everything, because it's a two-engine aircraft here, so we can see the engine thrust in the screen that I'm pointing at right now. With that, we are actually now cleared for takeoff. Now we'll take off now. We'll release the parking brake first. That's the first thing we've got to do. After that, we'll use the throttle and we'll put that to the really end. So we'll put throttle to maximum, 100% engine power. And then once that's there, we will take the plane off the ground when the plane reaches 150 knots of speed. So we will do that now. Okay, you can see here we've put throttle to maximum, we've taken the parking brakes off, and we are just speeding our way through the runway. Now, as I said before, 150 knots is where we need to be at before we can take the plane off the ground. That's just the safe speed for an Airbus A320neo. So we've reached that speed. We'll slowly take off now, and as you can see, we're off the ground. Now it's important that when you take off, you don't pull the side stick backwards too quickly. you have to do it slowly, and you have to do it with all the steadiness, so that the takeoff is as smooth and comfortable as possible. Also, when climbing, it's important to maintain a constant climb angle. Now, as you can see, we've left the airport, we're in the air, we've put the landing gear up as well. And now, if you can see, is now in the screen in front of us is the blue area, where the black lines are in the blue. Now that means the plane is now ascending, and it's tilted slightly, which means we're turning to the left. Now we'll turn our way through, and we'll try to get ourselves aligned with our destination, so we're just on the route. So we're turning the aircraft now. As you can see, Melbourne is displayed in that direction over there, so we're slowly making the turn. Now the turns, we have to ensure they're not very sharp turns, because in a real flight you would have passengers seated at the back, and for passengers' comfort and for the entire flight to be smooth, it's important that we do not take sharp turns, but just slow and steady turns. So that's why we don't put the angle of the aircraft turning left too much or too low. So it just has to be steady. So now we've almost completed our turn onto the. Now we're on route. We're on track to the destination. Now we'll just set the plane as such so that we actually ascend with a constant rate. So as you can see here, we'll bring, so it's a solo flight here, we will bring the black line, if you can see in the front screen, down to where it's actually when it's not on the blue and it's not on the brown, because if it's on the blue, too much on the blue, the plane's going to ascend. If it's on the brown, the plane's going to descend. So we have to get it just on the horizon, just as about 1 or 2 degrees above the horizon, so we can ascend to our cruise altitude. And once we reach the cruise altitude, we can put it exactly on the horizon when the plane is not ascending and the plane's not descending. So here we've right now, because it's too much in the blue, it's too high up in the blue area at the circle, we'll bring it down a little bit to get it just pitched up slightly above the horizon, and with that we'll be able to maintain a steady rate of climb. So now we just we're having a steady rate of climb. We're climbing up to the cruise altitude around 20,000 feet, a little bit higher than that, and we're just basically on our way to Melbourne. So that was like a basic takeoff done. We were at the gate, we did all the things we had to do, requested clearance from the air traffic control, made our way to the runway, got the plane off the ground, got it in the right direction, and now we're basically we're just going to ascend to the cruise altitude, and we will, after that we can just put the plane on the horizon, so then the plane's not ascending or descending, then it's just going to be straight over to Melbourne. Now the flight time from Adelaide to Melbourne is roughly 50 minutes. Now right now we're traveling at 380 knots, so we're traveling higher than the speed we should be traveling at. So what we will do in this case, what you have to do is just put the throttle a little bit down, just pull it to your side, put it a little bit backwards, then that will reduce your speed very soon. So that's what you do in a situation when you're traveling like this, more speed than required. So now we've actually came down to only traveling at the green bit here. You can see that's the legal limit for the Airbus A320. Now we're just cruising our way through to Melbourne, and yeah, we'll be there very soon. So for your information, just some additional information before we end the video today, you can one knot or 1 nautical mile is about 1.85 kilometers. So to get your speed in kilometers per hour, you just multiply the knots by 1.85. Now here, as you can see, is around 320 knots, and if we multiply that by 1.85, that means we're traveling at roughly 592 kilometers per hour. So guys, this was a basic takeoff done today. Now, we'll definitely do more advanced takeoff very soon, so stay tuned on our channel. The advanced takeoff would be more doing the checklists and everything else prior to departure, and very soon we'll get into landings as well. Do let us know how you found this video, and if it was easy for you to understand, if there were some things that were complicated that you think could be explained better. So if you liked the video, drop a like. If you did not like the video, I request you, please just put some comments in, tell us how we can improve ourselves, how we can improve the videos on our channel. Also, if you know any future pilots out there, do share this video with them. I think they will really enjoy it. Till then, stay tuned to our channel, and this is Critical Gamer.